I just had a great time interviewing a guy named Josh with a YouTube channel called Purpose Over Pleasure as he talks about his journey from being addicted to popcorn and massage parlors, having low self esteem, and how he found his way back to God and leaving the bad temptations behind, and starting his coaching business, helping people overcome similar issues he had in his past life. Let's get straight to the interview. All right, Josh. So it takes a lot of openness and courage to talk about what we're about to talk about, you know? So I
Mm.
honestly admire you talking about this. And that's why I wanted to interview you, you know? I don't know how I accidentally bumped into your videos, but I found it interesting. So
Mhm.
let's go back in time a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about high school first. So
Okay.
what was high school like? Did you have a lot of friends? Were you one of the popular kids? And what kind of hobbies did you have and stuff?
Yeah, no, I was definitely active in high school. I definitely enjoyed it looking back. And I played baseball throughout my time there, and that was something that I did and took pretty seriously. Um, Friends wise, wasn't like the most popular kid, wasn't the weird kid, so I was somewhere in the middle. I had
Sure.
my own group there, and I was doing just fine with that. Um, No, I wasn't doing too well with the ladies because obviously, there's some things that was going on. So, I didn't get that aspect of my life figured out just yet. But hey, I was in high school, young guy, you got to figure out somehow. So, yeah, no, it was definitely good. Um, Went all throughout high school. Um, yeah, I definitely looking back on it, I enjoyed it, man.
So what kind of hobbies did you have other than the sports? You said you played baseball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I played baseball. Wasn't doing too much back then, so I probably just play some Madden or something like that, and kind of spend my time that way. If not for that, I'll be going out, hanging out with some friends here and there, and yeah, it was pretty much my life. It was very simple
Yeah.
back then.
Let's talk about this. So what was your dating life in high school? So people can get a
Yeah,
little context about,
sure.
how your high school was like.
Yeah, 100%. So that definitely wasn't that good.
Gotcha.
It wasn't like I had the opportunities. I actually had many opportunities where,
Yeah. You
people were
always.
interested. And it was one thing that I didn't have the confidence to be able to escalate it. So, I'd get into some good conversations
Uh-huh.
or they'd be showing interest, and I didn't have the balls to be like, okay, let's take this and really go to the next level. So it was all very surface level. It really wasn't able to grow any relationships that way just because I wasn't necessarily confident. And it was due to, acting on a consistent basis. Obviously not with, the escorts. That wasn't something that was going on yet. But I think with the porn and stuff like that, it just made me feel a little off and be dirty. And because of that, I wasn't able to develop um that connection to other people on a deeper level.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was definitely the opportunities were there. It wasn't like I didn't have the opportunities, but I just could not take advantage of any of them.
Oh man. So all 4 years you just didn't have any confidence at all to just,
Yeah,
try to flirt with them and ask them out and stuff.
yeah,
That's
exactly right.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I totally understand that because I didn't have much of a dating life in high school either, so I
Mhm.
totally understand. But I mean, the one thing I had over you was the flirting. I tried to flirt
Yeah,
all the time and stuff like that. It just wasn't hitting maybe as much
yeah,
as I wanted to, or just whatever. You know what I mean? But I try
yeah.
to shoot
Shoot your
my
shot
shots.
though.
Yep, I try to
Yeah.
shoot my shots most definitely. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So when did the massage parlor thing like come into
Mm.
your life?
Yeah. So after I graduated from high school,
Gotcha.
got a little bit of money coming in from just relatives, just sending me a little bit before I go off to college, and so I had a little bit more saved up than I was used to, and before that, I was definitely going down a couple rabbit holes on the pornography. Just learned that that was something that is like an actual thing where you can just go to your local massage parlor,
Uh huh.
and you can get services there. I just kind of had that curiosity, so I'll dive into it a little bit, learn more about that side of things, and eventually I kind of worked up the courage after looking at that as an opportunity for some time,
Yeah.
mixed with having a little bit of cash flow to be able to actually go, let's commit to this.
Yeah.
So it was that summer after I graduated, I went to my first location, and I was scared. I
Yeah.
was super scared. Um, Very, very nervous, very, very anxious. But I was also fueled off some pleasure because I knew
Yeah.
kind of what to expect, but I wasn't really, I didn't know if they would really do it or what was going on. But I got in there and I paid for the services, got the massage, got the happy ending, and from there, I think I was very hooked because that was something that I was looking for. I was longing for in some way to be able to get that experience. I felt some type of way in leaving. Obviously, I felt pretty shameful. I was like, okay, probably shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
But again, it just blew my mind at the fact that, I can go to a location like this and pay for something like that.
Yeah.
And I got back from that experience probably in the afternoon. And instead of being like, okay, like, yeah, it was fun, whatever, let's just stop. That probably shouldn't do that anymore. I doubled down and I went
Wow.
back out that same night to a different location.
What?
So yeah, I was definitely hooked from the jump. And ever since then, it's just started escalating and escalating and escalating, despite not me wanting to do this as much and wanting to, definitely remove that from my life and start to really work on my dating life and just level up as a person.
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. So, and one of my questions, so you lost your V card through doing this.
No, I didn't lose my V card doing that. I lost that in high school. So
Oh,
I
for
had some
real?
opportunities.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess
okay.
it was just small things here and there, but yeah, no, it was not my losing my V card, but it was definitely like ending the drought for definitely some time though.
Yeah, so the V card person, you didn't want to date them or what was going on with that?
Man, it was the same thing. I just didn't have the balls to escalate. So,
What?
yeah, we had an experience. And after that, our friends are talking about like, oh, was it good? You want to do this again? We're
Uh-huh.
talking about that. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Opportunities at some other events, and my friends are saying, oh, you should go talk to her. I just kind of
Uh-huh.
blew her off a little bit. So there's some
Really?
bad blood in a, yeah.
You didn't find
I
her
don't know.
attractive enough or
I
something?
did. I
Okay.
did. No, I certainly did. She was very attractive.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, it felt weird to put myself out there. It felt weird
Really?
to, yeah. And I don't know what that was. It's just pure lack of confidence, even despite, her liking me and
Yeah, and
I
you
liking
guys
her.
did
And
stuff. So it's like
exactly.
I
So
thought
it
that would have
was,
been easy to, continue
yeah.
saying, "Hey, let's continue hanging out and stuff."
Mhm.
Wow.
No, for some reason it just wasn't. And I think it was just that real low self-esteem
Man.
from the porn use in the past. And there's also other opportunities with women where it kind of like something kind of developed and I wasn't able to capitalize on or grow anything like real deep.
All right. So after the first couple times, like how often did you go back to those places? Like I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure you had to work and save money and stuff like that in order to
Yeah.
go back, right? Like,
Yeah. So that's somewhere I spent around 1,500 and that was good money. So
yeah,
I spent pretty much everything that was given to me for graduation. I was working DoorDash at the time and a good amount of that was going to, going and acting out at these places. I would say that I was going, it definitely varied, but I can say confidently that I was going at least once or twice a month, sometimes more than that, depending on um how I was feeling, maybe if I had more
sure.
cash, and if I was able to resist some of the temptations. And yeah, I was going through different locations, just really getting into it in different areas, and that's when it really started to amplify.
Yeah,
I think that's when it really started to be like, I shouldn't do this anymore. I remember one night I counted up all the money that I spent on it, and I was like,
yeah.
man, I just no, this is something that cannot be a part of my life anymore. And towards the end of the summer, um, I chilled out a little bit just
Yeah.
due to we getting a little closer to God and realizing, okay, I'm going to college. We got to step up. We got to change this thing. Let's just get this out the way and just start a new life in college. That was
Yeah.
really my goal for myself, and I started to work towards that. But yeah, it was definitely still going on during that summer.
Man, so I have a question about this. Like, how did you find out about these places? Was it through Reddit, through the dark web, or well, I mean, how did you find these places? Through the forum, some kind of forum?
Yeah, so a couple different locations. I think I got the idea of it in pornography, just
Uh-huh.
seeing that that's actually something that people went to and
Yeah.
oddly enough recorded themselves doing.
But you didn't talk to your
And
friends about this stuff, right?
no,
Oh,
no.
gotcha.
Um, one I mentioned it to one friend, Um, but it wasn't anything serious. It's like, oh, just a one-off, but they didn't know anything about it. I looked on to YouTube. There's some people talking about their experiences there and like how to do it and set it up.
Yeah.
So I looked at those videos. There are some forums online, and I just want to say it because I don't want people to be like
Sure,
looking on
sure.
it. But
I got you. I
yeah,
got you.
there's definitely some websites that you can look up to be able to find locations that people have gone to and reviewed.
Yeah.
It's just I kind of went down that whole thing, and I was able to find different locations. Even just going on Google or Apple Maps, just
Oh, yeah,
going
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
You can just there's so many in the city. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's wild that there's so many different locations, and it's just something that's everywhere. It's
Sure.
insane. So that's kind of where I was finding different locations and going to them. I was just kind of looking around, and
Yeah.
yeah, I learned it from just watching porn and seeing how
Yeah.
all that huge rabbit hole that there is there, and yeah, just being curious. I just
Yeah.
found ways.
So, since you were watching a lot of that stuff, were you going through like webcams and OnlyFans stuff too? Like, were you doing
Not at
those
that
kind of?
time.
No.
No, not so much. That wasn't something that was there yet. Definitely later on,
Uh
once I
huh.
went off to college, that was something that kind of showed up a little bit, but not at that point, no.
Gotcha. So, in some of your videos, you talked about God and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I assume like this was a pivotal point that happened to you that helped you get away from those places. Did you grow up religious in your household?
Yeah, I did. My family is very religious. We're all Christian. My dad works for the church, so I always grew up around, the youth groups. Staying with him during that whole time, and it was definitely a big part of my childhood. And that was a great part. I had a great childhood, and I think I started to walk away from that
Yeah.
when I started to discover pornography and masturbation. Not like it just completely took me away from my faith. It was just a gradual thing over time that
Sure.
I used that as an escape, used that as my means to feel better from any pain that might be in my life or whatever. And that just kind of took me away from all of it. And eventually I did want to rekindle that relationship with God, especially during that summer. That was one of the things that helped me kind of chill out a little bit during that time. It did end up getting a little bit worse, but I had some experiences. I
Yeah.
had two experiences where I should have died, and I used that as
Wow.
evidence to be like, okay, I have a purpose. The first one was on prom night. I was found in the morning choking on my own throw up.
What?
Yeah, my friend was trying to find a charger and just rolled me over.
What
Second
happened? Like
time,
what?
I drank a lot, man. I had a
Oh,
good
okay.
night, good
Gotcha.
night. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 But that was one, and later on that summer, where there's a couple days left in summer before I went up to university, and we're on a boat ride back from Bimini, which is in the Bahamas. I'm in Florida, and it's getting pretty dark. You can't really see some things, kind of like dusk, sun setting. I'm chilling in the back and I'm just on a beanbag, and I look up and I see a cloud that looks like an angel,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, that's cool. God is with me.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, we hit rocks. We jump the jetty.
What?
Uh, One person falls out of the boat. Friend's
Dang.
mom hits the side, breaks her ribs. Somehow, everyone's fine. Obviously, she broke her ribs. All is bad, but
Yeah.
we all get back on the boat. We're not taking on any water. We go and get treated and how to get interviewed by a lot of the police and stuff like that. So definitely a crazy experience. And both of those, I was like, man, I need to lock in. Like I have a purpose. I have
Yeah.
something that I have to do, and I know God is in my life now, and that helped out for a great period of time, especially moving into college, where I built up a lot of momentum and just tried to really change my life in a lot of ways.
Gotcha. How long did this phase go on before you hunkered down and say to yourself, like, this got to stop? And did you
Mhm.
do it cold turkey or was it just slowly weaning away from it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It took a lot of time. I definitely knew early on that this is something that I shouldn't be doing anymore, but when
Sure.
I got the urges, different story, right?
Yeah.
So in college, I hunkered down for a real period of time.
Yeah.
I was quitting the porn, I was getting rid of that. I was being way more social. I felt so much better. I was doing a lot better with my dating life. I had a complete reset in my own life. Obviously, the massage parlors and stuff like that wasn't there as well,
Yeah.
and I built up a lot of momentum within my own life.
Yeah.
That lasted not too long. I think it lasted 2 months before I started to fall back into all of it, and it started to get a little bit worse. But it was from going into college where I was like, okay, let's truly get this out of my life. And
Yeah.
it took a lot of time, man. It was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
So that fall, the freshman year, I started to go back to the massage parlors, started to do that fairly consistently when I had the money.
Yeah.
And that spring was very, very bad because when I started to fall back into it, I started to isolate myself again. I felt very unworthy. I felt very unconfident.
Oh.
And I was seeking a lot more escape. So that spring was terrible. There's instances where I'm spending the last money that I have on these places. There's instances where I don't have the money to go in and tip them, but
Yeah.
I go in there just because I have that urge. So I fell deep, deep back into it at that time. During this time, I'm just trying to use willpower.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to push it out of my life, and it's just not really working. It's not sustainable. But I was just trying to run from the pain. But the
Yeah.
the pain was so immense because the things that I was using to find an escape brought me pain, but my life in general that wanted me to find that escape was also bringing some pain
Yeah.
because I felt like I ruined my opportunity there. And yeah, that was definitely a dark period, and I had a little bit of hope. I knew that there was something out there for me, but I was just fighting at that point.
Gotcha. So you said during the springtime. So did you do anything for spring break, like to go out with your boys and go out to the beach and go, try to find some honeys and stuff like that? Like nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. Did you do any of that,
For spring break, I can't remember. I know I
or did
went
you
down
work?
to, um, I did work during that time, but I can't remember. I think I went back to West Palm at that time where I live. Actually, during winter break, so over Christmas break,
Yeah.
I had some opportunities with some women there, and it's the same thing. I was able to
Oh
get a lot of attraction,
man.
but I couldn't just pull the trigger, even though it was just right there for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So that the confidence issues was holding me back from all the opportunities I was getting on a very, very consistent basis.
Yeah. So
Um,
so it sounds like they were flirting with you and smiling and joking around with you, right? It was
Even more than that, it was,
really
it was pretty serious for a minute. So, she was definitely interested. Broke up with her boyfriend.
what?
She was, we're hanging on a very consistent basis.
Yeah.
And, I just never pulled the trigger. So she got bored and was like, okay, whatever. She's not gonna, have sex with me or, escalate. I'm just gonna go to someone else. And that's pretty much what she did because she gave me multiple opportunities,
I'm
but
pretty
I just couldn't
sure.
escalate. So,
Yeah.
it was just that confidence. I just didn't have it.
Yeah, girls only give you so many opportunities before you have to pounce. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. How long was it when you hit a good spot in your life where you
Mhm.
decided that you wanted to help others and become a coach of people who had similar problems as you?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And it was through as we go through that spring and going into that summer, I had plans to drop out, and I did with no real plan.
Why'd you want to drop out?
College was just not my thing. I
Oh,
stopped
yeah.
going to classes too
I
because
got
that
you.
was just like I'm done with it. But I knew what I wanted to do, but then
Yeah.
it turned out it's like, it's not really what I want.
Yeah.
And so after that, I actually got into car accident, nothing too serious, but I got a little bit of money, so I invested it into a program to grow my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I was like, that's my direction. I'm just going in that direction.
Yeah.
Um, that summer I was getting a lot better, going through trial and error of reading books, looking at studies, going to different therapists, going to online groups, just doing everything in my own hands that I can possibly do to get rid of this behavior. And some of it worked, a lot of it didn't,
Yeah.
but through trial and error and just trying and trying and trying, I developed a process that worked for myself. And I was able to stay clean from massage parlors and everything that was going on with that. Going into the fall, I was doing a different channel, it was more like Christian stuff. Um, Realized I couldn't really start a business off of that. I would just be like an influencer, which I had no problem with, but I just the way that I was like, okay, I dropped out, need to like make a little bit of money. And eventually I was like, okay, what can I help people with? And,
Yeah.
looking back on all my problems, what I've learned, and also going on YouTube to find resources and testimonials of people, I felt like that was never there. And I was like,
Really?
okay, there's a hole in the market. It's a blue ocean topic. I'm not going to have any competition. I can just come in there and help all these guys out. And I was right.
Yeah.
There's a huge need for all this. And I'm glad I got started with that because now instead of where I was when I was looking for solutions online, trying to hear people's stories, feeling like I was the only one stuck with this issue. Now other guys are searching those same things up, seeing if they're the only people, but there's actually resources available now. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my process to get into, the coaching aspect of things.
So in one of your videos, you talked about rich and powerful people such as like Deshaun Watson and Robert Kraft going to these places, you know? So we all
Yeah.
assumed that it would just be like lonely type of guys that do that, but it's not, you know?
Mhm.
So why do these rich guys use these types of services?
Yeah, it's a fair question to ask. And there's a lot of people that are going and paying for these escorts and, getting their needs met that way. One is pretty obvious that they have the resources to do it. Your average guy maybe can't spend $1,000 on an escort, but, there's some guys that, that's not going to make a dent. So obviously they have the resources. I think they're also chasing after a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's definitely that's the thing that they're going for. They got the money, they got the lifestyle, they got the girls, they got, all these different things, and that's kind of what they want and that they're searching for. So that's probably their best way to get it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not fulfilling. It's definitely not meaningful or lasting. But hey, it gets the lifestyle that they're looking to achieve, accomplished. Some guys are in relationships. A lot of the people that I speak to are also guys in relationships. So there's probably a lot of guys who are rich or very wealthy and doing
Yeah.
well off. Also in families where maybe things aren't doing well in the bedroom. There's fights, there's conflict. They're not getting their needs met, and they just run to alternative options for that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different reasons as to why who are doing very good to go and do this risky behavior, especially when they don't have to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the ease of access mixed with the one of the lifestyle or want of something to get that need met. And it's like a perfect combination for them to go and act out with an escort or go into, sex work in one way.
Yeah. 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 Cause I always thought, man, if you're Deshaun Watson, you can go to any party at night and just hook up with any girl you
Yeah.
want that night. You know what I mean? But for some
Hmm.
reason, they just go out there and find these massage places and hook up that way. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
Psychologically, I think is really interesting. You know, on the other side of the spectrum, there's a lot of shy guys that have serious anxiety issues talking to girls, just like
Yeah.
what you're talking about, right? So I even know a guy. He's in his mid 30s and he
Hmm.
still has his V card, and he's only been out on a few dates with just one girl. So what advice would you give to guys that are shy so they can avoid going to these type of places? Like what can they do in order to build up their confidence to start dating or just approach girls and things like that.
Yeah, and that's definitely the other demographic of it. I say it's split like down the middle
Uh-huh.
between those guys that have the money or in relationships or doing well versus the guys that, yeah, maybe things aren't going too well. They might be younger with not a lot of success or, even a little bit older. I see it all the time. So to those guys, one of the big things is just to focus on recovery.
Yeah.
They're it's in some sense not for every guys, but there's a lot of guys who they're going to feel a lot better about themselves. Their self-worth is going to be increased just based off of being able to get a phone number from a girl.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then you're going to be way too needy. You're going to be searching for, even if you try to improve your dating life, it's going to be these highs and lows. You get a number, that's great, that's awesome.
Yeah.
She goes to, oh, I feel so bad, I feel so terrible. Let's go
Yep.
and relapse again and do what I'm normally going to do. So for them, you just have to focus on your recovery. And by no means am I a dating coach, but I've seen it time and time again with these single guys that when they focus on their recovery,
Uh-huh.
they feel so much more confident. They feel so much better about themselves because the self-esteem is there. There's no more shame and guilt.
Yeah.
So they're actually able to make those approaches. And, I don't know what your viewpoint on this is, but, men and women have gone along for thousands of years. So
Uh-huh.
we've coexisted. Like you have this primitive nature inside of you to be able to speak to them on a level that it can, bring you guys to a relationship or be able to get her attracted to you. Like it's built into your system.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're going and watching porn and paying for escorts and going to massage parlors, you can't tap into that.
Yeah, that suppresses
So,
it. That suppresses
yeah,
it. You're playing video games
100%.
and you're watching that stuff and you're all confined at home and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can't just let that nature come out of you.
Yeah.
And So focusing on the recovery is definitely a big aspect. A lot of guys be like, okay, well, how do I get my needs met? Well, you just got to make that short-term sacrifice. You got to really focus on what you want, focus on where you want to get to. How can you win? Who will you beat? Being able to focus on that whole aspect is giving your body a better reason to stay clean.
Yeah.
And it can help you eliminate that escapism that's going on in your life because that is kind of what it boils down to at the end of the day. At the end of the day, obviously you want to stop going to the escorts and the sex workers, but it's really just boiled down to eliminating escapism.
Yeah.
And that whole process will get people clean and also drastically improve their dating life because they feel worthy
Yeah.
because they built themselves up.
I thank you for your time. And can you tell the viewers where they can reach you at?
Yeah, 100%, man. So you can go on to YouTube for Purpose Over Pleasure,
Okay.
and you can find my channel there. I'm also on Instagram. I'm starting to start that up and get that going. So you can find me at the same place, Purpose underscore over Pleasure. And there's two resources that you can find for me. If you're someone that's struggling with this, or you hear my story and you relate to it, by all means, get some help. It's the best thing that I've ever done. I needed some help. You can't do this alone.
Yeah.
So feel free to reach out, and I'll be, very delighted to help any guys who've watched this.
That concludes our interview. Thanks so much, Josh. That was really awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Juan. I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah. We'll keep in touch. Okay, Josh?
Yeah, 100%.